Good day there, once again viewers, this is your mate Kamikaze78 here, come to you guys with some more Planetside 2 content. Today guys, we're going to be diving headfirst into another section of weaponry on Araxis with the Quartermasters overview, the series where we take a category of weapons from a faction's arsenal and give each one a brief rundown on how it performs on the battlefield, as well as how it compares to all the other options. Now, as per your guys' vote on the last episode where we covered NC carbines, we're going to be taking a look at NC Light Machine Guns today, seeing where each of these bad boys fit in the grand scheme of things. As per always guys, you can vote on what category we explore next by referring to the Google Forms link down below, keeping in mind that we do not cover directive or NS weapons in this series. But with formalities done and dusted, let's get straight into things. The NC6 Gore Saw is the default weapon available to fresh new Conglomerate Heavy Assault recruits, and I gotta tell you guys, this weapon has a hell of a reputation surrounding it. This is the only LMG on the battlefield that sports their heavy-hitting 200 damage per round profile, making this thing incredibly deadly in the right hands. However, the payload comes at a cost, that cost being the arm-breaking recoil that will send the weapon towards the sun faster than you can blink. This therefore puts the weapon in a bit of a conundrum. It's one of the hardest weapons to use on the battlefield, but it also puts it in the hands of brand new recruits, which leaves some recruits going through a trial by fire experience, if you will. The presence of its incredibly clunky reload process doesn't make this any easier either, meaning that you really have to time your reloads well and make sure you get the most out of every magazine. But once you wrangle it down, you will have yourself one of the most devastating weapons available on Araxis. Just keep that in mind. The Gore Saw S is a step back towards normality that a lot of NC recruits may very well hanker for after spending some time getting kicked around by the standard Gore Saw. Here we see a reduced damage payload, a reduced magazine size, and an easier to handle platform that is a little more forgiving across the board. Soldiers will note the increased rate of fire to make up for the reduced damage payload, with a faster reload time and a much more forgiving recoil pattern that ensures ease of use in more situations. However, as we said before, the added adaptability means that the weapon doesn't come close to the raw damage output available to the standard Gore Saw, meaning that the S variant here isn't going to do a whole lot of good for you if you already find yourself being able to tame the beast that we just discussed. It does come with a wider slew of attachment options, but it is still a sort of jack of all trades, master of none kind of weapon. In the NC's LMG arsenal, there is admittingly not a whole lot of crossover in weapon roles and designs here. The EM6 is probably one of the weapons that comes closest to having a quote-unquote role crossover with another weapon, with that being the Gore Saw S that we just looked at a second ago. These weapons feature identical damage models with close to identical recoil patterns. The difference is that the EM6 brings about a larger magazine size and a slightly larger rate of fire, or faster rate of fire, at the cost of a slightly slower reload time and larger cone of fire values out of the gate. It should also be noted that with an extended magazine attachment, this weapon sports a whopping 200 round magazine size, making it a fair contender for choke point defense. So where does the weapon sit then? Well, it's an excellent general purpose light machine gun that can take on many targets before needing a reload, and is probably the best choke point defense LMG that the NC has that sports a higher than average damage model. However, it is also a great option for those who are looking for a slightly more damaging Gore Saw S in the form of the rate of fire bump. Okay, so the EM1 is unironically one of the more rebellious weapons when compared to the rest of its LMG brothers and sisters, which, considering the rebellious faction it serves, you would think that it would be a fairly popular pick. This is a weapon that sacrifices damage per round in favour of raw rate of fire, and also sports some pretty nifty reload times. It actually sports the best reload time in class when paired with the 100 round magazine size. In addition, it also has access to extended magazines to bump that magazine size up to 200 rounds, and also has a very agreeable recoil pattern that makes it hard for the user to lose control even under a long burst. So for anyone looking to defect from the TR or the VS, this is going to be a very attractive weapon to those kinds of players. But for long-standing NC comrades, the amount of bullets required to actually score a kill is going to take some getting used to. Overall, the EM1 is all about one thing: uptime. Now, on the contrary, we have the LA1 Anchor and the GD22S, which fall more towards being just quote-unquote bigger ARs over actual light machine guns. Probably the most defining factors of these LMGs is the fact that they feature a more conventional 50-round magazine, giving them comparably faster reload times as opposed to their drum mag counterparts. They carry the quintessential NC damage characteristics in CQC and have the same damage drop-off ranges as each other, which begs the question: how do these two oversized ARs compare? The GD22S platform is all about flexibility and controllability for as many situations as possible. The weapon sports the best-in-class reload time across the board, only clocking in at a whopping 2.275 seconds, which is better than a couple of NC carbine options, believe it or not. This means that the user is going to have very little downtime between engagements, making the limited mag size less of a daunting task to manage. But this comes at the cost of rate of fire and effective lethality. So prioritizing headshots and the accuracy that the weapon provides is critical to making up for that lost time to kill. The Anchor is the GD22S's more aggressive cousin, sporting a more aggressive rate of fire and best-in-class hipfire accuracy, making the weapon a great run-and-gun option, especially when paired with the advanced laser sight attachment, as long as you're willing to deal with a relatively brutal reload time. The small mag size here with the longer reload time means that it's easy to lose track of your mag count and be punished as a result. The more aggressive recoil pattern that kicks strongly to the right is also a relatively unique challenge for NC soldiers who want to make use of the weapon, so be prepared for that as well. With that said, this weapon is a favourite among skilled NC shock troopers who prefer aggression and can handle its properties. The MGR L1 Promise is both the latest addition to the NC LMG armory and is also one of the more unique options available as well. The weapon features a unique mechanic that NC scientists have been long working on to allow for easy use in operations where crowd control is key, a mechanic known as recoil scaling. This sees the weapon's horizontal and vertical recoil kick scaling down the longer you hold the trigger down for a burst, incentivizing long bursts over tap firing, which is often recommended on most other weapons. When combined with its best-in-class rate of fire of 698 rounds per minute, the weapon is the king of the arsenal for suppressive fire as long as you hold the trigger down, making it a powerful pick in areas like biolabs. Just be prepared to sacrifice some damage per shot here for the pleasure. Much like the EM1, you're going to see rounds make less of an impact per shot by comparison to the other options. And guys, with all that said, that concludes today's episode of the Quartermasters overview discussing the new Conglomerate Light Machine Gun arsenal. Guys, if you enjoyed today's video, a backing of the like button would be greatly appreciated, and let me know in the comment section down below what your favourite new Conglomerate Light Machine Gun is in the game right now. And if you were to add one more to the game, what would it be? As per always guys, all my social media links are linked in the description down below alongside my Twitch channel where we are in the process of doing some overlay revamps that I cannot wait to show you guys as well, so be sure to be following there for when those go live as well. As per always guys, it's been an absolute pleasure, take care, and I look forward to seeing you guys all in the next video. Peace out guys, have a good one.